She wants to raise taxes. You see, the IRS loves her. She loves the IRS back. She wants to raise taxes on everyone. And wow, you know what? America's not going to like her, not liking her at all for that. I sat down just the other day with Akash Chagule. He's over at Americans for Prosperity, and he specializes in things like tax policy. So, I'm asking him, like, what the heck is going on? We get this fiscal cliff thing coming up and a whole bunch of other problems. Listen to what he had to say. Oh, yeah. Taxes could be going way up and away come next year. Yikes. I'm here to discuss all of it. Akash, good to see you. Akash Chagule, he's Vice President of Americans for Prosperity. It is great to see you, my friend.
Good to be back with you, Trish. Thank you.
So what is the fiscal cliff? I mean, I realize it's a few things, but it kind of, it hangs out there and people are like, it's like budget stuff. I really don't like hearing about it, but you need to hear about it because it actually affects your pocketbook. Break it down. What are we talking about when we talk about the fiscal cliff?
Is a bunch of tax and spending issues all happening next year. Normally these issues kind of come up once a year, every other year. We just so happen to be in a situation where next year you have the expiration of the individual side of the 2017 Trump tax cuts, which cut taxes for 80% of American families. You have the expiration of the debt limit, which again, we all hate, but does need to be increased. The question is, can we cut spending along with that debt limit increase? You have the expiration of the expanded ACA subsidies. During the pandemic, the Democrats expanded the size of those ACA subsidies. Those are expiring and should expire. And then you've got the annual fight over government funding, government appropriations, which is always an opportunity to cut spending. If we have a full Republican trifecta next year, it's an opportunity that we can't miss. And so we have all of that coming to a head next year at a time that we're coming out of an inflation crisis, trying to avoid another big increase in people's cost of living if we get these issues wrong. And so we're hoping to get them right.
I'll just, you had me at taxes, right? So if taxes are going up, they're going up, by the way, and they try and say, it's not going up on the middle class. I want you to walk us through that because it is going to go up on the middle class as well. Not to mention you're taking money out of circulation. So you get the Fed over there doing all its printing, as we saw 50 basis points this week from the Fed, thereby helping equity stock market investors, and the middle class constantly gets squeezed. I mean, what does that mean if their taxes go up, Akash?
Yeah, if nothing is done and these taxes expire, it is a massive tax increase on the middle class. The median family in America saved about $2,000 thanks to the Trump tax cuts in 2017. If these tax cuts expire, if Congress doesn't renew them and build on them, their taxes are going to go up. That 2017 bill, it cut tax rates across the board. It shrank the number of brackets. Remember, it doubled the standard deduction, Trish, which is kind of that tax cut from the bottom, which just makes it a lot simpler. And also, it cut taxes, but also makes it a lot simpler for people to file taxes. It increased the child tax credit. And so there were a number of things there that decreased the cost of living for American families. If Congress doesn't get its act together and extend those tax cuts, that goes away. What we're saying is don't only extend them, make them permanent. Let's build on them.
Oh yeah, let's make them permanent and let's build on them. Like, why not give us some more? But in the meantime, you're going to have the top tax bracket in places like California really exceed, I would think, 50% between state and federal.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, you've already got those millionaires taxes and things like that in California, New York, Massachusetts, things like that. Kamala Harris has been very clear that she wants to raise taxes on corporations. She wants to raise it on, as you've discussed before, this quote unquote unrealized gains concept, which is kind of crazy on the financial sector. And again, the message here is very clear. She's talked about different tax carve-outs and tax credits for the middle class. Those are not tax cuts. Those are tax expenditures where you're kind of picking winners and losers based on political constituencies. The 2017 tax bill cut taxes across the board. That's what we want to make permanent, a tax code that's fair, flat, neutral for everyone.
I want to talk to you a little bit more about Kamala's proposals, but before I do, I know that this is, front and center on your mind, of course, as it always is, but you have a big shindig going on in DC where you're getting everybody together and you're going to try and focus on these issues. This is the AFP Capital Conference. Tell me about what's happening.
Yeah, so as folks probably know, AFP is the largest conservative grassroots organization in the country. We have state chapters, state directors all over the country, 37 states. We're active in all 50 states. What we're doing is bringing those state directors, those state leaders to Washington next week to meet with their members of Congress and their staff. We have over 200 meetings, 120 some with members, and we're kind of bringing that Washington voice and also that grassroots voice. The people that watch your show, listen to your show, Trish, they don't have time to come to Washington to meet with their lawmakers, and frankly, they're better off staying out of the Beltway. Our state directors, our grassroots advocates, we do this work so they don't have to. That's what we're doing. We're flying.
I want to actually shout, and we thank you for that. It's commendable because we need that representation in Washington. We really do. And you are working on behalf of the grassroots level. AFPHQ, it stands for headquarters. So AFPHQ.org. If anyone watching this show wants to get involved, if you want to know more about it, I really encourage you, because you know what? We all have a voice in this. And it's one thing to sit around and tweet and put messages on Facebook and all that, but you know what? It's a whole other thing to get involved, and you can get involved. This is the opportunity. They want your help. AFPHQ.org. So exciting stuff that you've got going on. Unfortunately, some scary stuff, right? As we, again, talk about this upcoming fiscal cliff. I want to go back to tax proposals and policies out of Kamala Harris. She's talking about $25,000 for first-time home buyers. We got AOC talking today about some multi-billion, $50 billion that she wants to give out. She wants equitable housing for everyone. I can just see it. I can see it now, Akash, right? We're going to live in those cement buildings, USSR style. We're going to have our little commie homes there. Forgive me. I'm being a little bit facetious, but it's frightening sometimes what they think they can keep giving away and giving away and giving away. If you're trying to curb inflation, do you really think $25,000 for first-time home buyers is the answer? Or is that actually just going to send home prices up, especially for first-time home buyers, by $25K a piece?
Yeah, you nailed it, Trish, which is that we don't need to theorize about this. We've seen this experiment play out many, many times, many countries over the course of human history, and we see it every day in our own lives. So I'll just give you two examples, Trish. Higher education and healthcare.
Yes.
Those are two industries that see government as a never-ending source of revenue, and therefore they never need to improve their quality, and they can keep jacking up prices because the taxpayers are always there to foot the bill. If we start doing that to the price of homes, we are in big trouble. She wants to do it for homes. She wants to do it for childcare. She wants to do it, for all kinds of things. The great irony of which is, Trish, she cast the deciding vote in the Senate to raise costs in the first place with the American Rescue Plan Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, using air quotes. So the reason all these costs are so high to begin with is her fault. And now she wants to make matters worse with more spending, more subsidies, more government involvement. What we need is to get government out of the way, keep taxes low, fair, flat, neutral. That's what we're out here talking about.
It shouldn't be that hard. You're putting more power, hopefully, in the hands of the consumers themselves, as opposed to power in the hands of governments. But that's sort of where we fundamentally, I think, disagree, right? The left and right, and what you guys are representing at that grassroots level. Again, a shout out, AFPHQ.com. Go there today, org, and get involved. But in other words, what you're representing is more power to the people, effectively. Let us make the decisions. You guys just need to get out of the way.
Yeah, and that's worked throughout the history of our country, right? Individual liberty, free markets, free enterprise. We have a lot of people questioning these values, a lot on the left, even some voices on the right. We really do need to get back to basics, Trish. We just saw 4 years of failed Bidenomics, big government, big spending, big regulation do harm not just to a certain class of Americans, the middle class, lower income folks, all Americans are bearing the brunt of this. And so I think now is as good a time as any, especially for conservatives that listen to your show, to get involved. Let's get back to basics and spread the message in Washington, in your communities, on doorsteps and phone calls all across this country, because we need it more than ever.
I believe it. I really believe people really need to take some ownership here. Let me just ask you, I'm curious, does it ever feel like herding cats, though? So right now, you go to Washington, D.C., and you get all these lawmakers. I wonder, are they so distracted by the election that, they're just kind of punting? There's a tendency, shall we say, in Washington, right, to just, kick the can down the road, so to speak, and they're not going to worry about it until they have to worry about it. And so this is why I think what you're doing is super important, and why people should get involved, because you need to raise the flag now. Say, hey, I don't want my taxes going up. And maybe part of that means not electing Kamala, but it's not just that. It's members of Congress, right? That, if she were to say, not get elected, but you have an entire, House full of Democrats, both on the Senate side and in the representative side, then you could be looking at some problems. If she gets elected and the Democrats had a clean sweep, then you've got more problems. Yeah. I just think that, you know, it's not entirely, well, we talk about the Oval Office so much. It's also what's happening at the congressional and Senate level.
Yeah, and Trish, it's even Republicans that agree with us on the issues. The knowledge gap is just very big right now. You had a lot of members of Congress who weren't there in 2017. They never voted for those Trump tax cuts. Their staffs are new and they're young. The number one way they can get the message clearly is to hear it from their constituents. Call your congressman, tell them the tax cuts matter and you want them extended and made permanent. That's a very simple message. You like the
even if you're a Democrat.
You want them to stay. Yeah.
Even if you know what? I come from New Hampshire. I was born and raised in the live free or die state of New Hampshire, where not even Democrats believe in raising taxes. There's no income tax in New Hampshire, and they got rid of the dividend tax too.
We'd be a lot better if the whole country was like New Hampshire. We've talked about that before, but we're a ways off from that.
Akash, it is so good to see you, my friend. I do, and everybody who's watching, do me this favor right now. Go to afphq.org. Get involved. Put some pressure on these guys. You don't want your taxes going up. Akash, I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Trish.
Yeah, you know what? And they're going up. They're going up. Let me get rid of our graphics here. They're going up for sure if Kamala Harris has anything to do about it. I mean, well, she's already said that, right? Like, I don't need to tell you that. What she's not being very clear about is how they're going to affect the middle class. And they will, believe me. You know what? Once they get started. Heck, Janet Yellen is out with this big piece in the Wall Street Journal. You see, Kamala's been trying to cozy up to the business community, so maybe there's a method to the madness. We'll put Janet Yellen out there. Treasury Secretary put an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal in which she says, quote, permanent tax cuts that are stacked towards the wealthy and are unpaid for would explode the federal deficit. Repealing investments in industry of the future would stunt growth. You see, you know, that's that green energy thing again. Remember, they spent all that money on green energy only to find out that, what do you know? All those car companies like, Toyota, right? And Ford are now backing off all their EV vehicles. Remember, they were supposed to have that mandate and we're all going to just be totally EV by a certain year. Yeah, that didn't work out because you see, there's this little thing called the invisible hand. Remember Adam Smith's lesson in Econ 101? Janet, I'm sure you took this class. You're a smart lady. You're a trained economist. It's really unfortunate to see her acting like such a political hack. If I had to hear her tell me one more time that inflation was transitory, I really was about to throw up every time I heard that. And you know what? They were all wrong. And I, who, you know, has a fair amount of experience, but I wasn't head of the Federal Reserve, thank you very much, nor have I been Treasury Secretary, thank you very much, maybe I should be. I told you in August 2020, we were going to have mass inflation, right? Right. Another reason to go over if you're interested in investing. And by the way, I shouldn't say if you're interested in investing because you should absolutely be interested in investing. It is critical that you get interested in investing, ladies and gentlemen, because this is the only way that you can really kind of help negate the challenging effects of a liberal administration, which we may get. Listen, you know what? It could happen. I don't believe it will happen, but it could certainly happen. I hope it doesn't happen, but it could certainly happen. So when you think about, you know, okay, I'm going to go out to dinner this weekend. I was talking about my kid needing a new iPhone, wanting a new iPhone. I should clarify. He doesn't need a new iPhone. He wants a new iPhone. And we had a little chat about what it means when you spend that money. And I got, well, you know, I can trade it in, Mom, and I get $650 back. And I'm like, right, but it's still going to cost another $500, $600. What is the value of that $500, $600 over time? What is the value of your, you know, trip to Dunkin' Donuts, thank you very much, that won't even apparently advertise on Rumble because, you know, they have their issues with conservatives. Is it worth giving them $2 or $5 these days, given the increasing cost of inflation? The answer is no, because that $5 is really not $5. That $5, when you think about compound interest over time, and you can do this, guys, you can trade easily. They have no fee trading pretty much everywhere. You can put that money to work for you. And that's what I want you to do. So go to 76 Research, sign up, get the model portfolios, inflation protection, American resilience, the basic income builder portfolio. I mean, this one, let me show you the numbers because Rob crunched the numbers. This is for the last quarter. So this is just terrific. I think I have these numbers for you. I want to show you how so many of these stocks, I mean, our top holdings, these are the top 5 holdings that we have, and they've just been gaining and gaining and gaining with them upwards of 22% gains in some cases. So here we are. Take a look at that. Okay, 26% gain there. So that is our income builder portfolio there at 76 Research. Again, guys, stock 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up considerably. This again is for the quarter ending 8/29/24. S&P was up only 6%. Our portfolio total stock, median stock total return of 15% versus the S&P. So this is what I'm talking about, all right? I want to see everybody start to take some ownership. We talk about the importance of individuality and being responsible, right, for oneself and one's future. And this stuff matters. So 76research.com, that's where you need to go. This is my baby, right? This is what I've wanted to do forever. And I said to Rob, there's information that people need. They need independent information. The problem with the financial services industry, and I'm just going to say this, is everybody's got skin in the game. So they're promoting certain products. They're promoting certain ETFs. They're promoting certain investments because somebody's getting paid. Sometimes you don't always see it, but there's some kind of fee built in here. And I thought, what if we could just give real research? Well, real research costs tens of thousands of dollars. And this is what the hedge funds pay for. And they get great research, but it costs many, many thousands of dollars, but they only sell it to, a few select people. And I said, Rob, what if we could do this in a very different way where we're actually not trying to sell it to just a few people, but we actually take this research and we scale it and we give it to everyone that we can possibly give it to. So there's no back end deal. I'm not getting any kind of cut of anything for telling you, hey, this is a good stock to be in. This is just, you pay your fee. In the case of the 76 report, it's $9.95. If you add it on the income builder to that, I think it works out to some, it's like $20 a month extra. And this is how you create wealth for the future. So it's really important, before you give your money to the pizza place or Dunkin' Donuts or anything, like just find where you can, just put a little away. I have a little technique I use. It's not really precise, but in other words, if I'm going to buy something, I try to take the same amount of money and then go put it in the market. Because I'm like, at least, all right, I'm doing that. I'm buying that for myself. But I also put the same amount of money into a market investment that hopefully pays off in the long run. So that's for you guys. I created it for you. Go to 76research.com.